All right. What's going on, everybody? Sorry we're a few minutes late. We were just talking and being Star Wars fans, so
Unforgivable.
yeah, it happens sometimes, you know. But what's going on, everybody? Thanks for coming on and hanging out with us. We're doing the Mandalorian season 3, episode 2 roundtable, where we talk about all our cool stuff that we saw in the show. Starting off, man, what did you guys think of the episode?
So bomb. So
Yes.
Amazing.
phenomenal.
Nice. Yeah,
Wisdom.
I was did you guys like it better than the first one?
Yeah.
I think
You know?
storyline wise, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Maul? Thanks for popping in, my dude.
And Cody.
I liked the whole how half of it was focused on more Bo than
Oh, this was her
Jen.
episode for sure.
Dude, and I was so happy to see that just because we didn't get to see her jack people up since season 1.
Well,
And
it's nice to see that she's not this side character anymore.
yeah,
Like
right.
it's these casual fans get to see her and be like, okay, she's part of the story. It's a pretty big deal.
Well, it's nice to see Mandos doing like badass stuff. I feel like a lot of times we get just like Mandos getting their butts kicked. You know, it's like she was like pulling out all the stops. She was using her grapple hook. She was using her shield, dark saber. Those
Yeah, dude.
Well,
the
think of where she's
blasters.
been, man. Think of what group she was in and the
Yeah.
weight behind that. And I say that every single time I see, Bo-Katan live action. I'm like, this character has some weight behind it. You look at her and you're like, this is a direct, like, copy paste from Clone Wars into live action. Looks stellar. This person has been in a room with Maul, all the Death Watch, Savage, Pre Vizsla, Satine, Obi-Wan.
I love how they threw that little mention in there too. She's like, I knew Jedi. I knew
Yeah,
Jedi.
It's a
It
big
was so
deal,
Good. I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, she did. She did that thing over there and over there.
What did y'all think of seeing like? I know we're hopping around a little bit, but what did y'all think of like seeing like the Civic Center? Because we've seen that in Clone Wars, like how many times, and it's just like decimated.
All back memories.
Gone. You know, it's crazy to see that. But I'm surprised that. I mean, I guess it shows you how well that thing's built because what it was hit by those the Star Destroyers, right? Like that's what it was orbital bombardment, I believe
Yeah,
that they.
glass.
Same thing of Camino, I think, right?
Yeah.
old-
So it's like, and Camino was like wiped, gone. I mean, maybe it's just because that was like over water, so it's like easier to hide.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh man, I was like, this actually is still staying there.
Rest in peace, Camino.
Oh,
See, Grant's doing hand
Grant,
motions here.
I don't know if you're doing hand motions, but we can't hear you.
I think you're muted, Grant.
He's muted.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah, we
Okay.
can't hear you, my dude. I was like, he's being awful quiet this
Grant,
podcast.
It's a trick. Send no reply.
Communication can
It
only
was
be
good.
one thing:
It was good.
an invasion. Hey, what's going on, Rex?
Rejoining back, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was like seeing him doing the hand motions. I was like, is he like miming right now, or is he? No, but so to kind of back up just a little bit, it was cool to kind of see Boonta Eve, man.
All right.
I wore the pod racer shirt
Dude, it's awesome.
Yeah.
in honor, but yeah, no, it was cool to see it, and I didn't realize. I don't. Maybe you guys knew this, but I definitely didn't know. So Boonta Eve is a celebration of Boonta the Hutt ascending to like godhood or whatever. Or like, I don't know if it's that Hutt dying or like that Hutt just becoming like legendary, but that's like what the celebration
A
is.
Force ghost hut.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
I didn't know that.
That's
I
kind of
don't.
cool.
I don't know the Hut lore, but I can be confident in saying Boonta Eve Classic was the pod race.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
certain-
like the pod
Yeah.
race that was commemorating that. Like, and granted, I got that because I typed it in because I didn't know what Boonta Eve was. Like, I was like, what is Boonta Eve? Like, I know that they had the pod racing and stuff like that. And I got that fact off of Wikipedia, and I know Wikipedia is wrong a lot of the time, so we'll see about that. but that at least that's my headcanon as of right now. But I just want to throw that out there before I like start sounding all smart, and then somebody's gonna be like, "Nah, son, that's not what it is."
I think I fixed it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
I'm back. All right.
I was wondering. I was like, why is he being so quiet right now? I couldn't tell because you were wearing the helmet, you know. And then
Yeah,
we
I'm
saw
not
you.
normally that quiet of a human, so here we are.
Hear no evil, see no evil. But
I was like,
Yeah.
and I was also thinking, I was like, oh man, does he think we're like ignoring him? I don't know if you talked like at all through the past like whatever 10 minutes that we've been on, but
he took his helmet off. He needs to go redeem himself.
yeah, you gotta go bathe in the water.
We
Hey,
just watched the whole episode on that, so no one's
just
fine.
make sure you take off all of your armor because
What a fantastic transition!
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm just like he was getting in the water with. We're skipping back to the end, but he was getting in the water with all his armor on. I'm like, are you dense, bro? Like, leave your helmet on if you. That's what the thing is. Take your armor off though. Like, he sunk like a rock, and I was like, yeah, no
And
shit,
he
Sherlock.
went far, bro.
Yeah,
Down there, dude.
Do you think he actually sunk, or do you think he was dragged under?
I think he was drug under because he's gonna be the Mandalorian. He's gonna be the one who is worthy. Right?
Yeah, I know we're like skipping the whole episode there, but I agree with JT on that one for sure.
He's
I
gotta
think
be, you know.
Well, look, when she dove into the water, that was a straight drop down.
When he
So it's
started
like-
walking into the water, the only thing that came to mind for me was every other Star Wars thing where people end up in water and they just get dragged straight down. I instantly went back to A New Hope, and I was like, oh, here we go.
Oh,
Luke
true.
Skywalker
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
dragged down.
Factor.
That's instantly where my mind went, and I was like, I wonder what creature is going to be down there. And of course, we'll get to that, I'm sure, but like, mind blowing. I said it at the beginning of the podcast. Obviously, you couldn't hear me. You asked how I thought about the episode. Mind blowing. That's the only thing that went through my mind for this entire episode.
Nice. Yeah. Going back to the beginning, and we're going to be flopping all over the place, but yeah, did you guys catch that there were? I know that they were doing drag racing, like around the. I'm guessing that's Mos Espa, not Mos Eisley. I'm guessing it's because they mentioned Boba Fett, and I'm pretty sure Pelly's in Mos Espa, right?
Well, if they
Or
mention yeah, well, not only Mos Espa, but like saying Boonta Eve kind of confirms it because like the Boonta Eve classic is the like Anakin Skywalker, Phantom Menace, you know.
But is Anakin in Mos Espa or is he in Mos Eisley?
I thought he's in Mos Eisley, isn't he?
I don't know.
I could have sworn he was in Espa. Someone correct me on that.
I'm sure that someone will correct us on that for sure.
Fake Star Wars fan canceled.
Well, to be honest with you, up until like recently, I thought until basically Book of Boba Fett, I thought Mos Espa and Mos Eisley were like the same thing. I didn't know there was like multiple cities, you know.
It's all sand.
Dude,
It's all
long.
gang related, if we're being honest. You know,
It took me so long. Like I didn't realize that Luke goes to Obi-Wan's house until Lego Star Wars. I was like, oh, this is Obi-Wan's house, and then my friend's like, he went to his house in the movie, and I'm like, I thought that was just Luke's house the whole time.
oh really?
Yeah, dude, I never realized.
Well, it's because of the architecture. It's like the same in every city. So there's like the only thing is I didn't see the giant spaceship that was crashed, so I'm thinking it's Mos Espa.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was no
But I
giant
feel like
spaceship in the middle of the.
If Mando came back to Mos Espa, wouldn't he have gone like and seen Boba? Like at the end of Book of Boba, we were very like they have that bond. I feel
Not
like he would have
necessarily,
stopped in
though.
there before seeing Peli.
Because Boba doesn't have what he wants, which is the chip or whatever. So like he's like dead set on because like I didn't even think we were gonna get the Mines of Mandalore this early. Like I thought this was gonna be like later in the season, and that's what was making me. I'm like, what the heck are they gonna do for the rest of the season? Because I thought it was gonna be like prolonged, but yeah, no, but they were doing. I don't know if you guys saw like off to the left, there was a speeder doing donuts on the side.
Didn't notice that.
I didn't see that. I just saw the two racing.
I saw Pelimoto speaking fluent Jawa, which
dude, she flipped. She was like, I was like, dang man. I was like, she's on it.
I mean, she did go out with one. I can.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're very hairy.
Yeah. When are we gonna see an actual Jawa with like underneath?
I don't know. Do we want to see that?
Kind of scarred.
Probably. It's like one of those things. It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
I don't know what concept art I saw, but somebody like depicted like the Jawas of being like almost like a rat type of creature.
Or it's
something like that.
Tusken Raider was one of them too. I saw like without the mask on.
Well, because they were like the same species, right? And then they like separated into their genomes or whatnot.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
What,
I-
Tusken
That'd be kind of
Jawas?
cool though.
Yeah, I saw like the lore, like back when there was water, and then when it turned into desert, like they were the one race, but throughout time they like were like became different species.
I don't know.
I mean, that would make
I could
sense
be
because they're
wrong,
both
but-
like super wrapped. You know, like they're wrapped basically from head to toe, both species. So I don't know.
I'm not sure. I just heard
Yeah.
one stayed up and then ones went into the ground, and like the Jawas went into the caves, so like they formed to be smaller and like fit in. That's why they look like rats, and then the Tuskens are like people up on the surface.
Opposite equal
How
motion.
did you go from ooh teeny to
I don't know. I don't know if I'm wrong, but
I'm
Yeah, I
sure
thought-
that we'll be corrected. If we are wrong, we'll be corrected.
Yeah, the comment section will be like, no.
You
But what did you guys think of R5's debut? It was his time to shine, man.
dude, literally,
He's a
he
spy.
got his oil bath and everything. All
I
clean.
know. I was kind
Look.
of sad though because I thought that they were gonna. I didn't think that they were gonna do R5. I thought they were gonna do that BD unit because that's like one of like the major things
yeah.
you do in Fallen Order is scan everything. So I was like, oh, he's gonna like scan the planet. And scan.
Don't even
Scan
give me
off.
PTSD. Scanning 13 hours on end.
But no, it was cool to see him finally kind of get, I guess, some screen time, even though it was a little bit. But you know,
I felt really bad. So I watched episode 1 of season 3 with my wife, and afterwards she was hooked. Right? She's not a Star Wars fan at all, and she was hooked. And she went back, and in that week, she watched season 1, season 2, and Book of Boba. And then while I was at
Nice.
work, she texted me and she's like, "Am I missing anything else? Is there anything else that I need to watch in order to be able to be caught up?" And I was like, "No, you're fine. There's nothing else that you would have to do." And then R5 has such a major part, and I was like, "Okay, let's go back and explain this a little bit so you can appreciate it." So now basically she's gonna have to delve into everything because who knows what's coming next at this point.
That's the
Right on, man.
that is what you call the sickness, because
Yeah.
when I started getting into comic books, I'm like, I just want to collect everything with Maul in it because he's my favorite character. Then it was like, oh, I'm only like 2 issues off of everything with Savage. I might as well just get that. Oh, I'm off of this a little bit. It's just no, it's an endless rabbit hole. But that was a good callback to the OT, because like fans back, like way back in the day when they saw the OT come out, this in the 70s and 80s, they're like, oh yeah, I recognize that. That's the one with the bad motivator.
yeah. Well, she cleaned him up too because like he had like paint drips and stuff like that dripping down his like backside. I think was it in I can't remember if it was in Mando season 2 or if it was in Boba Fett. But he had like I think it was in Boba Fett where he had like all the paint, like where his like motivator blew out. He had like all like the
Yeah.
leaks. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Restraining bolt and all that. I seen in Battlefront 2 actually an Ewok hunt. He's straddled up in like one of those cages, one of those nets.
oh, really? No
Yeah.
way.
In one of the
Nice.
That's awesome.
One of the other things that we have to make a reference of for R5, I had no idea until today, until Nick pointed it out to me. But I guess this was the first time that we've seen real time, real world of going from 2 wheels to 3 wheels.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, I had no idea that was even a thing. I just accepted that that's what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
So
they
like
made it for real.
What
in
do you
the-
mean? What do you mean 2 wheels to 3 wheels?
you know how they have like the 2 legs and then they have the one that's like at their butt.
Yeah,
that
and then
comes
they
down?
lean. Yeah, they lean. Go.
So
That's only ever
like
been done with CGI, right?
yeah, like so in the
Yeah, I think so.
in the prequels or sorry in the original trilogy, I think they could only get it to come down the
Like a
original
plunger, wasn't
trilogy,
it?
and then in the prequels it was all CGI'd, and then in this one they got the droid building group is like so crazy and so awesome that they got it to come up and down. So they got somebody from the droid builder group to build that thing going up and down.
Dude, that's crazy.
Which
You know,
the
I
it's just
think-
the middle wheel.
I think I heard them talking about that in some like BTS stuff. Like they wanted to do that shot that you're talking about in like the Attack of the Clones Geonosis droid factory scene, like when they're on the belt and they have him actually, do one of those leaning movements. But I
Yeah.
think they said they couldn't get it to work. It was
Yeah.
just way easier to CG it, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's pretty. Now that you say that, that's pretty cool that they're
That's
actually
really awesome.
live action.
Well, and they made it such a big scene. Like, for those that don't know, obviously it's not a big deal, but they really focus in on that. So if you're from
Yeah,
that
they
droid
zoom
building
in.
community, it's like that big woohoo moment for everyone. Like, yeah, this is real.
Yeah, between Nick and then Jadi's on Instagram, because he just built his own droid, his own
Yeah.
astromech, and he had like a whole little like Instagram reel talking about it. So,
Yeah, it's really cool.
so yeah, I thought that was really. I agree. I think that's really cool, and it's cool that they're bringing in people from the community. I say that all the time. Like they bring it in the 501st for like
Yep.
clones and stormtroopers, and now
That
they're
was the
bringing
heavy
in
hitter
droid
for
build-
me. Hearing
Yeah.
about that in Kenobi, how the actors were 501st people.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
and
just like-
and season 1 of Mando for the
yeah.
finale.
Yeah, that's right. Right. At
Oh
the-
yeah,
at
for
the end, huh?
the standoff when they're all
Yeah.
outside of the
Yeah.
bar thing.
With
Yeah.
Moff
I think-
Gideon. Yeah.
They might even be for the I don't know, but they might even be for that Book of Boba episode because I know there's like quite a bit or not Book of Boba and Mando season 2 when Boba Fett shows up, and there's like all the
Yeah.
troopers storming the hill.
It was a little bit more personal though when I heard that the 501st was playing the 501st in Kenobi, being
So
Vader's
bad, it's
fist.
so
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
because they're fitting the role that's their title. They are the 501st. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I didn't. I think it was the color grading in that because like it bugs me that it's not the same as Revenge of the Sith. It's like a light baby blue.
I
and then
wish
in
my
Revenge of
buddy
the Sith-
Strike was here because they
It's like-
did on Adam
never
Savage's YouTube thing. They did a review of the person that made the test kit armor, and they got the color 100% spot on. But then
Oh,
in
so
the
it's
show
like
you
that
see
dark navy.
you see some color grading in the show, and it looks like
Yeah.
a cyan, like a Hauser kind of color.
Yeah,
It's-
which like no, it still looks good. Like I'm not dissing it at all. It's just not the Revenge of the Sith. But back to Mando. What did you guys think of like that emerald glass, like the glassed Mandalore? Like because we've
Reminds me
never
of
seen that
Krypton.
before.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looked dope, dude. I don't know if we've ever seen like actual glass from a place being glassed before. So that was
I
pretty
can't
cool.
think of any like planet, but yeah, it's like you can see where like because I was rewatching it before this and like the impact of like some of the bullet or not bullet like the laser blast that hit, it's just this giant crater with like giant glass spikes coming out of, but it's like a giant circle. It's like,
when
damn,
you
man.
see the planet Mandalore, you see that it does have like a greenish hue to it in some ways.
Yeah.
But when you go back to the Clone Wars, you go into the throne room. Right behind the actual throne, you see orange and yellow stained glass, but you don't see that like green, like cursed poison glass, whatever that she's talking about, like
Right.
corrupting the planet. You know?
What I
Yeah,
loved
yeah.
is we talk about all this destruction and like then there's still so much that's left, and it was very imperial to me. So like coming from my background, like seeing that type of destruction and stuff, and okay, cool. Hey, I dropped a bomb or I shot a laser blast or whatever, and then be like, yeah, I think that worked enough. You know, they're not shooting at us anymore. Like we can move on, and like we see that in what it was it in Andor or what where we see the TIE bombers fly over and they said that that's Mandalore. Was that
I want to say it's in Boba.
that was in
It
Boba,
was-
right? I
yeah.
can't remember.
Yeah, in
what
the
it was.
two Den
Yeah, it was a
episodes.
Boba or Mando.
And the K2s are like walking across.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like Terminator.
Terminator.
style.
Yeah, Terminator style. Yeah. And I mean, I think that that's so like remnant of the Empire. Hey, we're gonna blow some stuff up, and yeah, we think that worked enough, and then we're gonna move on, right? Like,
Yeah.
it definitely looked like, hey, we destroyed a civic center, sure, but then we moved on from there, and I loved it that there was still something
For sure.
left. You know, something recognizable, especially to people that have watched a lot the animated series and stuff. There was recognizable features even through all of the destruction, and I thought that was great.
Yeah, one thing I
Cheers,
was
yeah.
as what does the because I'm pretty sure the Empire spread that rumor that like it was just toxic and gone. Like I think that was
Yeah.
like I wonder what benefit maybe they didn't want Mandalore like reuniting or coming back or building back up
Probably.
again. But like I was like, what would be the point of them like completely glassing the planet and then like saying like, oh, it's like inhabitable when it's really not.
I think it just comes down to control. If the Imperials can worry, like you said, about them going to the planet less, that's one less planet to look after, right? If they can just focus all their efforts on a handful of planets, but this Mandalore one's not inhabited, they don't have to worry about that, right?
Yeah.
Let's focus on the Tatooine. Let's focus on the heavily populated ones rather than these random ones that we just blew up. I mean, Camino, we saw that get sunk like a ship
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why would anyone want to live on there anymore, right? So that
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to control at the end of the day. Just want to rally the masses.
It is possible too. It just could be like trickling down from the Mandalorians being like, "Well, our place got so messed up that it's jacked." Because
It's
I feel like
done.
if the Empire said like it's messed up, Bo would be like, maybe it's not, but Bo-Katan was like, "Yeah, it's messed up." So maybe she got, maybe Mandalorians were like, "Yeah, don't go back there."
And did
'Cause
they
she
say
thought it was.
why it was like poison? Because like I don't know, like maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but like an Imperial air raid um doesn't really to me seem like, oh, the planet's poisoned.
Well, he was even
Yeah.
testing the air when Mando got out of the ship. He was like, "Oh yeah, I guess it is breathable, right?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
I
that
don't
could
know
have just
where-
been another rumor to keep him from going there as well.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, it was I was cool though to see kind of two things. Concord Dawn and Kalevala, like how
Yeah,
like
right.
close they are to
Yeah.
Mandalore, like because like you know that they're kind of in the same system, right? And that the other two are like kind of moons, and Mandalore is the bigger planet out of the three. But it was cool to kind of like it was like, oh yeah, you like throw a rock and it was like Concord Dawn's over there and Kalevala's over there, you know.
Dude, it's just crazy to see that, man. Because whenever Bo-Katan's, flying in and everything, they do that little shot of her like looking over, and you just see a ginormous place with a hole. Where it's like, man, that's the throne room in there where a bunch of stuff went
Oh yeah,
down.
dude.
And we know next episode they're still gonna be on Mandalore.
You
after
think?
what they just saw?
You think they're not going to skip it?
Well, we know that we've seen the clip for sure of Bo-Katan evading, Imperial fighters. Like, we have to
Oh,
come
yeah.
back here at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe not
There's-
on Mandalore necessarily, but
There's
there
got
has
to be
to be
some more
more here.
Mandalore shots, yeah. And I'm hoping they visit the throne room. And Bo-Katan's like, I used to be here. I used to
Dude,
Overwatch or something.
Can you imagine seeing like the throne room and then seeing like the saber slash when Maul gets chunked out the window? Where he
Dude.
like
Oh man,
The perfect reality is seeing a flashback of that scene.
oh, that would
just
be
get
sick.
Sam where to go. We could have destroyed, or nah, yeah, yeah, just yes.
It was cool to see. I mean, it makes sense, but I didn't really think about it. How he like when Mando steps out to go find out where R5 went, he like vacuum seals his helmet, and I didn't know that they could do that. I didn't know that they could vacuum seal the helmets.
I didn't.
I
either.
feel like they've talked about that at some point. That they've talked like they've gone out of other places. I don't know where I've gotten that idea from. That they were full sealed suits.
Mm-hmm.
But like the same thing with them going down into water. Like we see that in season 1, right? When Koska Reeves jumps down into the water. And I mean, maybe she's holding her breath, but I don't know why I've had this assumption that they are sealed.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah. Also, why didn't he seal his
Yeah.
helmet when he fell into that thing? That
Well,
brings
I,
another
I
question.
think you not only he was caught off guard by it as well. I think you have to remember to seal it too, because when
Yeah,
you see
fair,
Mando
fair.
season 2, you see Mando on that barge with the Quarrens, and he gets dunked into that that fish trap thing with the monster or whatever that's in there, that big squid
Yeah.
beast that swallows up Grogu.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
scared, he's in the fence. He's like, he's trying to. And he didn't remember to put that back on. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, I think they definitely can be sealed for water too, because you can hear Bo breathing like with
Yeah.
her helmet.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you see the bubbles come out at one point. So I'm like, does it only last like a minute or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know it's really big, like in the Mandalorian merc like thing. A lot of people add the sound, like the decompression sound, as they remove a helmet, and they add little soundboards. I have one in my helmet, but I don't know where canonically that has been established that there's some type of seal.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It could just be the
Star Wars Rebels. I don't remember the episode. It was probably near the very end of 3, but I remember Sabine and a bunch of her group jumped on like a Star Destroyer with Ezra and everything like that, and they were fighting like outside of like a Star Destroyer. I don't
Yeah.
remember the episode.
I remember that too.
Okay.
I remember that too. Yeah.
To Maul's point, with like the glass weapons, I don't know if you guys played Skyrim, but like, Did you guys think the Alamites looked like the trolls in Skyrim?
Yeah.
If you guys have played,
Oh, I
like
don't
straight
even
up
know.
with like the green eyes and like the pale skin, I was like, that's literally just like a snow troll from Skyrim with green eyes.
Dude, they look
Everything had green eyes. Did you notice that? But minus like
Yeah.
that whatever the
Yeah.
hell that creature is. We'll get to that here in a second.
It
But like
is the way.
everything had green eyes.
It's just the way.
Yeah, that's fair. Maul brought up like nuclear radiation. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what those blasts
fine.
like from the Star Destroyers. Like I don't know what type of radiation that
Space
gives off.
Chernobyl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
probably. It's possible that it was in fact like infected and all messed up because they survived and they all got the green eyes. So maybe they're just all like poisoned.
Yeah. I think that's a valid. Maybe
Well,
there
we
was some
saw
radiation
one
at some
thing.
point.
That didn't have green eyes.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get
here.
to that, I know, but I'm just saying.
That had he had
The
like
green
Sith
eye.
eyes or something. But yeah, no, it was crazy and seeing Bo-Katan. Or I guess we can talk about the robot now because what I was gonna say comes after that. But dude, seeing that thing
Troll
like that.
2. They're eating her, and then they're gonna eat me. Oh my god!
Yeah.
No, that creature it reminded me of mixture between like General Grievous and the
Yes.
massive
Okay.
the dog creature that the Tuscans
Oh,
have with the
yeah.
spine backs. I was like, it was like a combination between but like, what the hell is that thing, and why was it on Mandalore?
The
Okay.
first thing that went through my mind, the first thing as it like wrapped up and it started walking, was a Mandalorian basilisk droid. I was like, is that what we're seeing right now? Like, is that what this is? I don't think that that's what it was, but yeah, I straight had General Grievous vibes right after that. As soon as he crawled out and everything, I was like, this is. I know it's not the same, but like, those were the exact vibes that I had.
Yeah, that's spider
Skeletal
crawl that
structure.
Previous does.
Especially
Everybody,
his little like staff thing gave me straight Magna Guard
Magna
vibes.
Guard.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm about to blow your minds.
I love it.
Everybody is saying Grievous. Yes, it had similarities to Grievous, but I think this was a more cutthroat callback to The Force Unleashed 1 with the Junk Warriors slash
yeah.
Scrap Guardians.
Dude,
Not
yeah.
only do they have a more accurate metal frame, but the staff, same thing that they use in The Force Unleashed. It had a cattle prod just on the tip, on the very end of the one side,
Oh,
right?
those darn things. Yeah.
And they teleport into the ground. They come out again.
I hated them.
I think that's a more accurate call, at least in
That's
my
true.
eyes. And
Yeah.
even when it was in that crab mech thing, when it first moved and got out after holding them down, it made a whoa noise, which sounded similar to like a junk titan that
Yeah,
you also
true.
fight on Raxus Prime.
So Caston Paratus was there controlling everything.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's a big old force junk guy, you know? Dianoga inside the eyeball.
But I
Dude,
also
I want to know what that was in it because it was tiny, right? Like it was small.
It was just the head. It was
Yeah.
able
It
to
was
fit
like-
in just a head.
Yeah, like Grogu could have eaten him. Like it was small.
but like what?
So speaking on that point, right? One of our friends has asked us to bring it up, and I'm going to bring it up because it happened right around here. Grogu straight up pod racing his little pod
Yeah.
all the way
Yeah.
back was an absolutely epic moment for Grogu.
Shout out to Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hey,
I was
shout
gonna-
out to Brad, right? Dragon House.
You're a step ahead of me. You're a step ahead of me.
Oh God, okay, I'm going to stop talking.
No,
for now, but-
you're fine. No, continue. I was just like, that's what I was about to bring up, and I was like, oh, he got to me beforehand.
Perfect. But I mean, like the moment of like, okay, Dad's down. I had a flashback moment to me playing video games with my kids. Straight up, like when my kids play Fortnite and I go down, my kids go like running the opposite direction to go like try to find help. Coincidentally, it's just us playing, but I don't know who they're trying to find. But that was like the exact moment that I had, like, go find Bo, and okay, cool, and here you go. You see him like whooshing through, his little headlight on, and he's just going.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely awesome. He has ears blowing in the wind and everything.
When he exited that cave and you see the Alamite go, he comes out.
Oh yeah, dude.
This dude,
Wow.
he's not scared anymore. He's actually able to use the Force on his own in a dire situation.
I
know.
like. I was just gonna say I like that he's like so in all the other seasons we see him use the Force, and he's like tired after like the littlest thing.
Yep.
This dude's doing like backflips now. He's doing Force
Yeah,
pushes.
yeah.
He's trying to like lift cages, and he's good. Like he is nothing.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
so-
what I was gonna say is like just the fact that we're like they kind of brought it back in Rise of Skywalker, which was nice, but we're like seeing Force jumping live action.
Mhm.
Like obviously it's not a ton, but yeah, just the fact that like I think it was this episode, but he does one where he jumps like far, like he does like a
Yeah.
big jump.
That's when he
Oh my
jumps
God.
out. Yeah, he jumps out of the N1. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
too
dude.
old.
Well,
Good
like
old.
he got the stamina boost upgrade.
Stamina boost.
You
Um,
remember,
Just
hey,
that-
you remember in the Phantom Menace when Maul kicks Obi-Wan down and he falls down and then he's like holding onto the edge.
Mhm.
He picks himself up and he jumps like 50 foot straight up into the air
yeah.
on top of the other platform. I want to see Yoda do something
Same
like
thing
that.
with
or
Luke,
Grogu's-
bro.
Yeah. Well, even make in the Clone Wars, like the Tarkovsky one, Mace Windu like jumps like 50
Oh,
miles away
on
from the
Dantooine,
battlefield.
yeah. He jumps. So that big stomp thing went, goosh, and it created like a shockwave of hills. He jumped at the top of a moving hill at
Yeah.
like 100 foot, and then with his lightsaber to
I
the
don't
side.
think anyone could beat the speed though of like Luke in Empire Strikes Back when he falls in the carbonite chamber and he jumps.
Oh, yes.
It's
Oh,
like a
yeah.
flash.
Dude, he's like instant.
Well,
Oh,
that-
yeah, the absolute just
like,
like
so fast Darth Vader didn't see him, I guess.
Well, that's
Impressive.
the canon that I love because they did that in the Phantom Menace too when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan had the stalemate with the Droidicos.
Yeah.
He's like, it's a
Yeah.
stalemate. Let's go.
Blast.
And down the hallway.
Hey, Dragon, what's going on, man?
hey.
Yeah, no, that was crazy how like it's just like because he was practicing jumping and stuff like that with Luke and Boba Fett or
Yeah,
Mando
we see that,
2.5. So it was nice to kind of see that call. Hopefully we get a little bit more. I want some time jumps, man, because I want to see a Mandalorian Jedi, and I mean I know they're going to do that with Grogu, and I want to see it. Like, I want to see it.
But not even to mention too that we're so used to you see like speeders and stuff like they float, but Grogu's pod can like fly. I was
yeah,
like,
dude,
oh,
he's
just
pulling some
go
Fast
speed
and the
run
Furious.
Yeah.
You speed
like
running
that.
that game.
In Revenge of the Sith, we see Yoda's pod chair thing, which is kind of similar in shape, but we've only ever seen it float like that. But yeah,
Mhm.
seeing that thing drop down into the abyss while
and
Mando,
then go
jetpacks
up
down.
too.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
Oh yeah, no. When I saw that, I was like, I want to say that was like third grade for me, maybe fourth grade.
Oh,
My
yeah.
like little fourth grader mind like exploded seeing Yoda like parkour and like seeing Grogu doing that in like Mando armor, like shooting with a darksaber or something like that. Like that would be.
I feel like eventually Mando will like not have his jetpack and he's gonna be falling, and then Grogu will bring him back up.
Yeah, just like whoa.
There was one
that thing closes
talking
too.
about the
Yeah, it'll be
Talking
like
about
Vader.
Mando's jetpack. Like there was one of my buddies brought it up, and I didn't even think about it. We see Mando like the jetpack is a perfect example of Mando's growth as well, because in season 1, he's like, yeah, I kind of know how to use this, and he slaps it on and like very half-assedly flies into the air to like cling on to the TIE fighter, and then season 2, we see him use it some more to like fly around, and in this season, he's like, oh yeah, I have this jetpack, and he just like casually jumps down, does whatever he needs to do with it. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's some really good growth that we
Yeah.
see with that alone.
It's like when you
My
lie
favorite
on your
about
resume.
My
Yeah.
favorite about that is in season 2 when he's in like a standoff with that dude that's holding. I think he's holding Grogu hostage, and he's
Oh,
like, "I'll
yeah.
trade you the jetpack," and then he sends him flying.
Yeah.
he just drops through.
No, it's so funny because Grogu's like, bruh. And he's like, what? Like, this is how it is.
Yeah.
He's like, he wasn't trained in Rising Phoenix, bro. He didn't know. And then we get finally some Bo-Katan action. But even before that, I was going to say it's the first time we see I think her ship's called the Gauntlet, or maybe that's just the ship type. But we actually see that in Mando
In
season 2 when they're
season
on that
2.
one planet drinking blue milk, crying about being able to find the Darksaber.
Talking trash to Boba.
Yeah, talking trash to Boba. So, but like, that was pretty cool seeing that, and then just her going ham, dude. Like, I like that. Like, I feel like this episode is definitely more about Den, but I feel like she steals the show in this episode. She's just like, oh, that little quote is like, "Did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian?" Like, bro, I can still kick ass too, man. You know?
And another The Force Unleashed reference. I mean, she slid under that mech crab thing,
Ooh,
just
yeah.
like in the
Dude.
Force Unleashed 2 trailer,
Slides
like
under,
cinematic
sorry.
trailer, when he's fighting the Terror Walker. He slides under it, slices it, and then Force lightnings its back, and it explodes in like
Ooh,
2
dude.
Oh, yeah.
seconds.
She
Such a
hit
good-
X, Y, then B.
Yeah,
Time to
Simple combo. Simple
When
combo.
she's fighting with the Darksaber, I told my friend as I was watching it with him, I was like, this is what I expect every lightsaber fight to be like from now on. Because she's a Mandalorian. She's not supposed to be a Force user or anything. And I just thought the movements were beautiful. Her use of her little like buckler thing with it was
Oh, yeah.
amazing. You know,
I like how much notice how easy she uses it
Yeah.
compared to like Din in like the beginning, because he can't even pick that thing up, because I think it's because he's so conflicted between
That's
being his
I was about to
religion
say that.
and his
shoot Charlie, shoot your shot.
She's
You know?
also had it before. She says she's lost.
Yeah,
it.
I did think that
Yeah.
too.
Well, she's also had training probably from Ahsoka and probably from Sabine too, I would imagine, because they're buddies.
She was
But
born.
I
a
also think
warrior.
she's carrying it with way more confidence. I think
Yeah.
she's carrying it with a lot more confidence versus like Din's like, yeah, I have this, it's a weapon, and to her it's like this is a source of power.
Well,
It's
he's
not
so
like
hers,
what she
yeah.
has.
He's so
I don't know-
conflicted, you know.
I don't know if we said this last week, but I think it's cool and all that she's like, oh yeah, now I have the dark saber now,
completely
right?
agree with
But I
Noah.
think she's after the respect that comes with the dark saber more than
Yeah.
the actual weapon itself,
For
because
sure.
there is only one dark saber. Right, you can
Yeah.
always take off your helmet and redeem yourself, whatever. There's that creed, but there is only one dark saber. She wants the respect that comes with leading the army, the legions of the Mandalorians.
Someone said something to me about the Darksaber, and they're like, do you think that Bo-Katan is going to be the new Mandalore? Because Din had the Darksaber. Din was defeated in combat by the robot whatever thing.
Yeah.
Lost the Darksaber.
Yeah.
Bo-Katan defeated that in combat and took the Darksaber. But again, we see at the end of this episode, Din still has the Darksaber. He does still take the Darksaber off and set it down and drop it. You know,
Nobody saw that though. That's the thing. It's like literally no one
exactly.
saw it.
Like we saw that for sure. He still has it. You know, I'm a big Night Owl fan, so like secretly, of course, I want the Queen to rise, but I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
I don't want her to win it off of something shy like I defeated that little droid creature that defeated Din, right? I think it has to be won in at least a human matched combat, something, because even Maul and the Clone Wars are like, I challenge you to, a leader of Death Watch, and he does this whole thing.
Yeah.
But that's a more respect, and even you saw them all looking at you like, oh shoot, you can do that? What?
Yeah, that's like an official challenge. Yeah,
You can do that?
I don't think that it would be. Just one of my friends was talking about it, and I was like, I have to at least say something about it, because it would be cool, but I don't think that we're at that point by any means.
Yeah.
Dude, I know this is not going to happen, but I want Boba to become Mandalore, dude. I think that would be...
That'll be
I don't...
awesome.
Because Din doesn't want it. Bo...
But does he
it's-
not want it? Like, where does it say he doesn't want that?
I think
well, he
will-
hands it. He hands it to he's like, I don't want this. He's like, I don't want the Darksaber. He
Yeah.
just wants to
Max.
do his own Mandalorian thing with Grogu and
I think he's going to become the Mandalorian because he doesn't want it. I think
Yeah,
that's the
100%.
dynamic.
I
Yeah.
agree.
No,
I
100%.
think he's gonna become the Mandalorian.
I just meant like in my perfect world, I want Boba to
Yeah.
to be.
I think
Mandalore.
this.
comic books that support that it's going to be Boba. We have the reference or the one line in Book of Boba when he talks about riding the what is
Mythosaur.
it? The Rancor. He's like,
Oh, Rancor.
you know,
I've
your
ridden
ancestors
creatures
rode-
bigger than this,
Yeah, exactly.
5 times its
Yeah.
size.
But
We've seen that in the holiday special.
we
Yeah.
also did see in,
Yes.
we did see in season 1 when he's like, your ancestors rode the great mythosaur. You can't ride this simple creature, and he learned to ride that creature. Like, I think
Yeah.
maybe we got a little bit of
I mean,
foreshadowing there.
It's probably gonna be Mando, because it's like it's his show,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't really foresee them giving it to somebody else unless there's like some like twist or something. But yeah, in my perfect world, it would be Boba Fett to come back
Yeah,
and
I
unite.
think this is
Foreshadowing, more like force shadowing.
Foreshadowing.
I think this is
Star Wars
Mando's,
joke,
like-
Jedi business. Go back to your
I
drinks.
think this is Mando's like redemption from like coming from the watch. Like I don't know how
sure.
because he's still like totally set on doing everything for the watch, but Yeah, I think this is kind of his like going away from that, and he'll become like, not to say the Watch isn't real Mandalorians, but like they kind of are. But they kind of are. I don't know.
I think the creed is kind of confusing. It's a little bit messy at this point because there's some that believe in it, some that are changed from believing it. Like Bo's like, it's a bunch of nonsense, and then she goes there and she's like, oh, I probably should rethink it, right?
Speaking on that, Max, I'm sure we're jumping ahead of your points again, but like that final scene right at the end, right? You see her as they're walking in to the waters, and Bo's like, yeah, I said the creed. Yeah, whatever, And then she walks in and she's like, let me give you the full experience, and reads that. And Din just goes into like full zealot mode, and he starts he takes off all of his weapons and starts walking into the waters. And the expression on her face, I feel like was that like true believer, like refinding religion type thing. He walks in and he starts talking about like committing himself back to it, and Bo-Katan like looking at him, the fact the camera pans to her, like to me it was that moment of refining your religion, if you will, like oh shit, I am Mandalorian, this is Mandalore, I'm back, let's reunite people. Like I'm excited to see what's going to come after that scene in particular, not to mention what happened after, but like that part right there, Bo-Katan's reaction to me was one of the most powerful parts of this entire episode.
For sure.
Grant, you know what that reminds me of? When Mando is like a zealot and he's like focused on, he's take the garbs off. I'm ready to be space baptized. It reminds me of 300 when Xerxes walks into the waters and he comes out gold and tall and
100%.
Good callback.
Yeah, I thought it was a really powerful moment.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely one. Did anybody catch that she was definitely flirting with him? She's like, "Oh yeah, you're adorable," or something. Whatever she says.
I didn't think it was a flirt. I think it was more so just like a tongue-in-cheek like side joke, just for Grogu. Like, what are you looking at?
What
is this normal?
It's the eyes, dude.
Someone said something, and I remember
the eyes.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
No, but it was cool because like she's such a non-believer in a lot of that stuff. Like you hear her like constantly, it's like a lot of hokey religions, a lot of myths, and like there's nothing there besides poison. And then she like hops down there.
It's until you go there do you see.
And like I think she like what Grant was saying, she's kind of like, she was kind of like taken back by him just kind of going into like his like Zen, like repeating the creed, taking off his clothes. And she's like, oh, okay. And then right after that, she sees the freaking mythosaur, dude. Like,
there we go. You said the word. You said the word in this episode. There we go.
Down there.
It's crazy. It's for those who don't know, because like my mom, like she watches the Mandalorian too, and she was like, she didn't like know. She was like, oh, this episode was like okay. She's like, because she didn't know what the mythosaur was, For anybody who
understand,
for anybody who doesn't know what the mythosaur is, it's like a legendary creature for the Mandalorians. It's what Boba Fett's like this. His sigil on his arm is. It's like that's like the skull of it, and like Mandalore. I believe it was Mandalore the Ultimate rode a mythosaur, right? That was that was Mandalore. Yeah. So Mandalore Ultimate rode one, and it's like basically the symbol of Mandalorian. So
they gave it Mandalore the Great or something.
That's why
like
I
that.
say Queen. Yeah, Maul's with me. Maul's with me, man.
And I think I don't know if we spoke about it during or after last week's podcast, but just the fact that like it was so noticeable, like we knew it was a mythosaur. Just like we were saying last time, how they changed the crate dragon a bit, and we're like, we hope they stick to make it look good live action. And just seeing it, even just the glimpse of it, because we didn't see much, I'm like, that's a mythosaur, I'm just like, it looks so good. And I'm curious how big it really is.
Well, and just
to be massive.
Just to think, this creature has long been sought after to be dead, right? Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be this extinct or very extremely hard to find creature that you just can't, you physically can't come across. It's like winning the lottery, right? Just to think, this thing has been alive to this day while all of the Mandalorians up top were being,
decimated.
It makes me wonder if it was Mythosaur or if it was Mandalore the Great, if that's like the same one.
Bo-Katan,
be
when she
crazy,
entered
dude.
that tomb, she was like, "I came here as a kid. That mythosaur was probably the same mythosaur."
Yeah.
Well,
she was a
said
kid.
something about that. She's like, allegedly, this was the waters that it lived in. Like, so obviously, I'm a huge Mandalorian fan. Whatever, anything Mandalorian, and I've loved Boba Fett for a long time. And up until this episode, I have hated the the mythosaur symbol. Right, like. I've hated it. I thought it was overdone. We saw it for, 2 episodes for less than 6 collective minutes on one character's shoulder. Like, why is that the main symbol? Whatever. And then to like see it here. And like I said, my wife had watched it. She had watched the shows and everything. And when I saw that curved tusk on there and that long face, I was like, oh, literally. And I'm not the type of person to do this. I'm watching it. She's watching it with me. And I'm just like, oh my God. oh my God. And then they go and they come back up to the top of the water. And I was like, I can't wait for this thing to come crashing out of the water, chasing after them or whatever. And roll credits.
I know.
And I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Grant had his coming of religion moment like he was talking about with Bo-Katan not believing in it and hating it. And all of a sudden he goes there and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I think that was everybody's reaction.
It's
Like
for me.
everybody
I
was losing their
love-
mind.
I loved
Yeah.
how it ended too, because you said the coming to religion is she's like, she right there she's saying, oh yeah, it was the waters it lived in, everything, and then she goes down there, she's totally just like, this guy's a freaking weirdo in the water, and then sees it, obviously it being a mythosaur. She was there when she was little, like still not believing it when she's younger, and she comes out of the water like almost like she's like on Din's side now, where she's like, he was right, like this was the actual waters and that thing's actually in there, and like she's like I feel like she's just totally on board now, and she's like,
No
it
hesitation
is
in
like
going to
it's
grab him
real.
either.
I was wrong this whole time.
She's like, I'm a believer, brother.
She saw that, hey, she's carrying Din up, and about halfway through that, pool, she saw that thing's eye open up. She made that jetpack go a little bit quicker. She was like, oh, let's put it in the
saw, like,
turbo.
the bubbles were like, she was like fine the whole time, and then as soon as she saw that eyeball, like the bubbles came out of her vent, She's like, shit. But it's so funny though, because like Din definitely was like knocked out, so he didn't see it.
Yeah.
He didn't see
Yeah.
it. So it'll be interesting.
So one thing that someone was saying about like him being the Mandalore, the next ruler of Mandalore or whatever, is that mythosaur has been down in that waters, like JT said, forever, right? It's just been sitting down there, who knows how long, whatever, and almost like it senses Din has come. It senses that Mandalorian presence, that Darksaber and everything, and boom, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to bring this down to me, right? I'm the symbol of Mandalorians, Mandalore and everything, and I'm going to drag that down to me, and almost like it was waiting for that moment, and now it's found, it's his Mandalore, it's Mandalore, whatever, and now we're going to have our dragon ride.
Think of how many previous Mandalorians or Creed members came down there and, indoctrinated themselves. And that's never happened, and they have never even seen the mythosaur in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
they're like, I was bathing in those waters this whole time.
Who knows what this creature's like? Because obviously, like dogs, they recognize who their owner is. So obviously, they're wearing helmets. But this thing's been down there for so long. If it was Mandalore the Great's, like it knows what Mandalorians look like. So like it could be completely like friendly. I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's gonna attack them at the end. But I'm like, maybe it's gonna come out and it's gonna be like, all right, like when like baby animals are born, had it imprints. It might Din might have imprinted right there, and it's like, all right.
He still has his helmet on. I don't know. Did she take her helmet off after she got out of the water? Do you guys remember?
No.
Yeah, I don't think she
I was
did.
gonna say, like,
I leave it on.
but like,
No,
if
because
she,
the closing shot was like that. Credits.
so maybe
Yeah.
she,
Oh
but
my
maybe in
gosh.
the next shot, like the episode 3, like maybe she has her helmet off or something like that, and it like freaks out, but then it sees
Wake
Dan,
up!
like you
wake
guys
up!
were
You'll never
saying.
believe what I see.
Shaking him.
The one other thing, right? Never mind. I'm not going to jump all the way back, but like the one thing that I saw that was like a real minute detail was we saw Din. Din was the only one who ever clicked the helmet on. I was thinking of helmet cameras. I was like, you're like, you'll never believe what I saw, and I was like, yeah, Mandalorians, they've got to have like helmet cameras, right? Everyone has helmet cameras. That's a thing.
The dash cam.
Yeah, exactly, dash cam. The one thing that I thought about that it made me think about with my ADD was her clicking a light onto her helmet. We had never seen that with Mandalorians until we saw Din, and then she comes down, she clicks a light on. I know that was a completely off-topic thought, but I had to get that out while it was in my head. So sorry about that.
No, dude, you're fine. That's what these.
I had another thing I wanted to
Roundtables are
return to
for.
as well. If that's all right.
Just
with
real
you.
quick, yeah. I'm gonna answer Eros's question.
Yeah,
I don't
go
think
ahead.
so. I don't think she believed in any of that stuff. I think that was just like that was their way of like, being atoned for your sins,
Yeah,
essentially.
I
Like I don't think she wants to lead. I mean, I don't really get that vibe that the armor wants to lead, but
I don't know.
that's me. But what were you gonna say, JT?
Two things. One was when they, Grogu and Mando are overlooking the inner shambles of that massive, area. The buildings all like broken in on each other. You see those huge platforms. My brain just immediately clicked to the Siege of Mandalore when you see those gunships drop those clones off, and you see the Mandalorians, clashing at each other like that. And speaking of which, Gar Saxon's blue shield. Bo uses it in one hand while using the Darksaber in the other. Shield and sword,
cool.
perfect.
We
I didn't
did see Paz Vizsla use that in the Book of Boba.
I love that for a Mandalorian weapon because
Yeah,
if you know the character Dirge, he has two red ones. Dirge has been tortured by Mandalorians for 3,000 years. So for him to indoctrinate, have their weapons, it's just so cool to me.
Oh, JT, I didn't know you were a Dirge fan.
I'm a little bit of a Dirge fan, just a little bit.
just a little bit, just a little bit.
But no, that's such a missed. Now that you bring up like the Mandalorians, like how cool would it have been like if underneath, because they showed off some. I think there was like a Night Owl helmet. There was like Din's helmet that was all crusty. Like, what if he had picked up like a helmet with like the horns? That would have been such.
What
a
if that
cool
was the
Clone
trap
Wars.
you're saying? What if that was the trap?
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the,
He like picks
mech
up
thing?
like one of like the Mandalorian helmets. Like maybe somehow it got like launched into the gutter when they were fighting or something like that, or fell down into the path. Like that would have been a cool Clone Wars callback.
That would be.
That would have made the trap a little seamless too, because if he found it with the spikes setting up, that could have looked like the bear trap thing.
Real trap-esque. The one thing that I thought of with this, and this is from like a prop maker perspective, was seeing all of these like messed up armor pieces and everything. The only thing that went through my mind was how many 3D printers now can fail at prints or fail at casts and be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna make what I saw in the show. Yeah, this is just a broken helmet or broken armor or whatever. Like, it was like.
That's what I'm doing with that Clone Wars helmet, that Stormtrooper.
Yeah,
one.
there you go.
Not Stormtrooper, Clone Trooper one. I was like, I'll just make it the Ahsoka damaged one, or something like that.
And I don't know, if there's going to be any connect, but like since season 1, obviously since we've seen the armor has the horns, and I'm like, is there any connect? Are they gonna like show like, oh, she was actually Death Watch, the Watch, like is she like the bad guy type? Because I think also something it's obviously noticeable, but not that we have really mentioned, is that obviously I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, but the main villain,
Gar Saxon,
Gideon.
Gideon's like, he's not the villain anymore. So it's like, who's the villain now? Like, do we know yet?
I think he'll be a returning villain.
I feel like that too, but they dropped him in the first episode, like, oh yeah, he's like got sent to this place, like he's in jail. So I feel like they're kind of like, let's move on, and like there's a new bad guy.
What was the scientist's name? The one who was taking Grogu?
Hershey.
The guy with the glasses? Was that his name?
Pershing.
Yeah.
Dr. Pershing.
We've seen him in at least one commercial for like a short second.
Yeah, right.
We've mentioned him before. We saw him in season 2 with that little transmission talking at the facility. So I think that he might end up inadvertently being maybe not like arch enemy bad guy, but I definitely think that he's going to end up working for someone who's going to be the bad guy.
This could be an anti-show as well. Like there also is the chance that there couldn't be one set bad guy. It's like just a bunch of smaller villains that make the arc to like world build in a way, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey man, Thrawn.
There's options.
Thrawn is not
bringing it back how you had mentioned like that cloning facility, like I wonder if that's done with, like, if it was just a 1 episode thing, or like is that, because it seemed like a big deal at the time. I'm like, this is something.
I think Thrawn might be a very valid point, right? We know that we have an Ahsoka show coming. We know that we have Sabine Wren, who's been cast. I think Thrawn would be a legitimate thing. Thrawn trying to get some type of force using ability stuff. Nice meeting you, Maul. But yeah, like I think that might be a very good lead into. I'm really hoping that we see something for the Ahsoka show from this. That's like my personal hope.
We already got the Purgles, so it's like
we've seen lead-ins in every other show, right? Like season 2, we saw Ahsoka for like a short period of time, but I think that I would hope that we're gonna have some type of segue, right? Like we saw Boba in The Mandalorian. I almost feel like Mandalorian is like Disney's center line that all of these offshoots are going to come off of in some way, shape, or form.
We still got to have 2 Boba episodes, man, for the Book of Boba.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Center's Boba.
Mando did take out a debt in Book of Boba. Like, I think we are owed a little bit there.
Well, he just comes back and he rides the Mythosaur and becomes the leader of Mandalore. That's the end of the show.
There you go. That's exactly
the end of season 3.
Yeah,
Boba riding a Rancor versus Din riding the Mythosaur.
Or them riding together.
Best friends. Best friends forever.
The whole.
Oh, there's a Step Brothers joke in there somewhere.
Did we just become best friends? Yup.
So much room for activities.
Do you want to go ride a Mythosaur in the garage? Yep.
It's even better. We have them when we're 40.
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, I think that's it. I wrote down a whole bunch of notes, and I think I made it through all my notes. What do you guys? Since we all kind of said that we weren't expecting to get to the mines this close into season, like what this is the second episode. What do you got? Do you guys have any predictions for the rest of the season?
No.
I'm looking for Din and Bo to join together and like rebuild the like a force of Mandalorians, right? Like we've seen
rebuild, right? Yeah.
Rebuild, right? Like reunite.
Yeah.
We've seen that drop force of the Mandalorians dropping out of that ship. I'm really hoping it's not a flashback.
Yeah.
But seeing some type allegedly Axe Woves is in this. Like I would love to see Bo-Katan said her army is scattered. I'd love to see Din and Bo coming together, like Bo-Katan's Mandalore or whatever, re-religioned, and Din with the Darksaber bringing the Watch and the Night Owls or whatever they are at this point together. I'd love to see that.
Well, I guess we don't know.
The question is to fight who?
Yeah, exactly. Like what's going to be that main driving force?
Thrawn,
Ahsoka will join.
Dude, how cool would that be if they brought because Gideon's obviously in this because John Carlos has talked about him. They haven't showed anything in the trailers about Gideon.
No footage at all.
So what if Gideon's like they mention it? He's like in some like high powered facility in the New Republic. What if Thrawn comes in, rescues Gideon, and then they kind of just like tag team, and that's like the new thing because in the trailers the Mandos like they're all fighting together and you don't see who they're fighting or what they're fighting, but there's a giant fight scene in one of those trailers.
And
besides the Gideon side of the story and the Grogu cloning side of the story, which are probably intertwined, this whole Mines of Mandalore arc was the only lead we have. Now that we've gotten this answer, or at least we've seen it in episode 2, we're kind of flying blind now. We don't know what's going to happen.
Don't forget about the pirates too. The pirates are still out there.
Yeah, that too. Like 2 shots left in the trailer that we haven't seen. It's really.
Well, and we know the pirates come back because we see in one of the trailers
the canyon.
See the pirate ships. Yeah, in the canyon, right? So we haven't gone back to the canyon. We haven't seen the pirate ships there. So we know at least the pirates have to come back at one point. I think Thrawn recruited that giant alligator thing to kill off the Mandalorians. You know, it's the only logical thing right off the bat.
That Yellow Solamari was whispering in that Big Croc's ear. He's like, "Hey, they're gonna do some ritual thing on the beach at 5 p.m. sharp. Be there."
Yeah. There you go.
And something too that we haven't mentioned, but it was like pretty subtle. Like they just kind of brushed over it. But the fact that Grogu spoke, kind of. Like
did he though? Was that confirmed?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't. But it was like baby language, but he definitely wasn't like a. He was like,
"Baby, I'm 50 years old."
Yeah, he's trying to, right? Like he's trying to communicate.
Yeah. That TikTok is like,
I'm
not. I fucking love my dad.
I just thought that was super cool that they kind of did that. She's like, "Was that his first word?" And I'm like, "Wait a second, like he just kind of said something."
Yeah, I agree.
If Baby Yoda's voice isn't like that TikTok, that I don't know if you guys saw that on my Instagram, but if his voice isn't like the
love my
hormone
dad.
monster, it's like I'm not. It's like I fucking love my dad.
It's like Lego Star
Yeah.
Wars,
Yeah,
how
I
they
love that
gave
one.
Max Rebo like a deep, smooth voice.
Oh yeah, he has to have one, man. He's the.
I
he's
really
the
hope that he
jazziest of the
speaks
jazz.
normally so that Yoda's the weird one and not like.
Well, they
that's just
said
part
that.
of their-
They said that
Yeah.
Yoda speaks in riddles because of his master, like this, because
Yeah.
Yaddle doesn't
Well-
speak like that.
Well, no, yet
Yeah,
oh
I
no,
guess that's
Yaddle
right.
doesn't. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she
he's
speaks
just
normally.
a freak.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they said that his Yoda's master spoke the way that Yoda speaks, kind of like in riddles and kind of like
Yeah.
being like a Buddhist kind of monk style, like Confucius style, So yeah, I think he'll probably speak. He'll speak normal whenever. I don't know when we're gonna see that though, because he's like 50 now. So
Yeah.
like,
I was gonna say he's always the baby. His character, I think, will
Speak-
always be like we're never gonna see adult Grogu. I don't think. Which kind
Speaking
sad.
of that, we've still got one thing that's yet to be shown: Operation Nightfall. Who's going to come through that door? Jar Jar Binks.
Oh yeah, another
Jar
Order
Jar.
6060.
This
That's
time.
right. Another Order 66.
Misa the
Oh,
Sith
yeah.
Lord now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Is that a Grogu flashback or is this something?
I think
else?
so
It
because
looked
it
like
looked
the
like
bridge that he was, where those two guys, like when Luke was like, "Would you like to remember?"
Yeah.
Does that, and then it
Yeah.
They
goes,
left us hanging, yeah, because they show like the blasters and stuff on the peripherals, like flashing on his face as he's like he's scared, but we don't know who saved him, right?
yeah.
We're not answered on that. So
well, hey, supposedly they're bringing back Mace Windu for
Dude, yeah,
Boba season 2, so
That's
it's probably
what I
gonna
was
be Mace
gonna say.
Windu saving them or something. So silly, dude.
Him
So
coming with
silly.
with one hand. We gotta get
Yeah.
out of here.
He's all like fried and stuff like that.
He's
Like
all
steam's still coming
I'm-
off of him. Stuff like that. We gotta go. We gotta go.
I
really
like
hoping
it
the
if
Mace
it's a good
Windu-
story, but this whole Jedi surviving Order 66 thing is really kicking it for me, man.
Yeah, I
it's-
agree.
It's supposed to be Emperor Palpatine is the checkmate, right?
Yeah.
All the Jedi gone. Like there wasn't supposed to be this many survivors. That's why
Or
the
if there
Empire
was,
is so
they all
strong.
got wiped out in between like Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Like they all got wiped between
And
them.
you get all those comics, not only the Inquisitor stuff, but you get all those comics like Vader Purge, those one shots. He's fighting like a room of like 7 of them, and slaughters
Yeah,
like,
just-
boom, boom,
Yeah.
cutting them down like nothing.
Shattered.
I don't
But,
know. I just don't really care for survivors.
Yeah, for sure.
Go
But
for survivors.
I don't.
That's
do you guys
perfect.
have any more comments, or should we wrap this bad boy up?
Not for this
Okay.
episode, no.
All right. Well, thank you
Look.
guys so much for watching. We're doing the Mandalorian episode 3 watch party Tuesday night at probably 12 again, because I like gaming with you guys beforehand. So make sure you check that out. And then we'll have that roundtable the following Saturday, same time as always. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and may the force be with you.